Hi everybody, welcome back, and today we are back in the Wormery. I say Wormery very loosely because this is meant to be my storeroom. As you can see, it's just full of stuff. Um, Out of sight, out of shot, there is a big um 4 foot long by two, I don't know, 6.5 foot high shelving system here, which is absolutely packed to the rafters, even on top, with just a whole bunch of crap. Um, Here there is another shelving system that you can't see that is also just full of rubbish. Well, I say rubbish, but it's just stuff that I use and I need. Here behind this corner there's boxes, there's tools, my dehydrators here with worm bins on top. I've got baskets and bits and pieces here. So this room is just absolutely covered in, let's say covered, it's just filled with stuff. What was meant to be a really nicely organized storeroom all of a sudden got filled up with counters that were from one of our pop-ups for our coffee business, and all the cabinets underneath are just full of packaging and God knows what else. So I'm struggling with space, really struggling with space. So I have been thinking long and hard how I'm going to solve this issue, and as you guys know, not that I'm cheap or tight, I'm just conscious about how much money I'm spending on raising worms. So I do have some plywood that I've had stored away from an old project, and I've decided that I'm going to build a continuous flow-through bin, which is also known as a CFT, and it's going to consume pretty much all of this space here on the top of this counter. Now this counter is usually where I do all my videos and check on my bins. So behind me, my friends donated me this lovely shelving system with these tubs. I've used them for the new bins that housing the leaves and the cardboard bin, and I did another one as well. But on the shelf on the counter behind me, there's some bedding in this bin here, but below it is my dump bag where I dump all of the bedding from the breeder bins. So that space will be alleviated because I'll be using the CFT to dump all the breeder bins into, which will free me up some more space. I'm just stuck. Like, I'm just trying to think of how I can make use of the space that I have in the time where I can sort of like figure out what I'm going to do with just the immense amount of stuff that I've got in this bloody storeroom. I've got everything from cash registers to countertop, deep fat fryers and noodle machines and pressure cookers and God knows what else in the storeroom. That's in the side bit there, which is the wet room. There's a gyro machine, there's fortune cookies, t-shirts, like you name it, there's places like Aladdin's cave. So I've really been struggling about what I was going to do. So I've been thinking about it. I'm going to build a countertop CFT right here. I can use the underside to store some bins if any worms or castings drop out. They can just drop onto the bins underneath them, which is great. Hopefully I don't need, it won't be much of an issue. And I will do all my bin resets and everything on the back counter. At least that way I have some space and I can sort of just deal with what I'm having to deal with here. And if you are just getting into worm farming, trust me, you're going to be facing these issues really, really quickly. Everyone who I spoke to goes from having one bin, they get put on the bug, and next thing you know, they've converted their child's bedroom into a wormery, and you laugh, but it happens, trust me. So anyway, saying that, we are going, in this video, if you want to stick around, I'm going to be resetting a breeder bin. I'm also going to be having a look into the worm farm starter kit, where I had overfed it a few weeks ago and killed off about 50 adult worms. So if you're interested to see what's been happening with that bin, stay tuned, and we're going to look at that in the next few minutes. In the meantime, please, you guys know that I love your comments. Please hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. Show your boys some love. You know what to do. Let's hit it. Right, Oakley Dokley. This bin, a couple of weeks old, 17 days. Look at that. Beautiful worms on top, and they look fat and happy. I'm just going to do one thing. I don't want them to go down. Oops. That basket has been in there for 3 days, but if you notice, there's quite a lot of worms on the edges here, let's just try and get these guys out. This bin was dry now. I didn't give it any food or water for 2 weeks because there was chow in this bin. You guys were with me when I reset it last week. Let's just do this. These guys look great. I just want to get some of these castings off there. But yeah, these are big boys. Hello. So they've definitely had, I mean, this guy's a beast. They've definitely had enough chow in here. But I'm kind of surprised. Usually I get around, you know, a dozen or so, half a dozen or so stragglers in the bin. There just seems to be a few more than usual this time. If I could explain to you how heavy these worms are, you would not actually, you know, I've got an idea. Hold that thought. I know you guys can't see that. I'm going to just take that off there and boom. 3.6 grams. That worm is 3.6 grams. Let's get him off. 4 grams. Damn. 4 grams. You know what that means? 4 grams times by 7 is 28. 7 grams is an ounce. 7 worms are an ounce, which means, what am I trying to figure out here? A quarter pound is, a pound is 16 ounces. 16 ounces, 8 is half ounce. 4. So 4 times 7, 20, 4 times 7, 28 worms is a quarter pound of African night crawlers. 28 worms, that is amazing. And 30, because some of them are a bit under 4 grams. But you know what I'm trying to say, like, that is crazy. And how many worms do you get? How many red wigglers do you get in a quarter pound, roughly? Is it 1,000? That is mental. Oh no, sorry, my bad. 1,000 is around half a pound or something. So 500 worms. That is mental. But I'm a little bit concerned that there are too many adult worms in here. Too many of the breeder worms in this bin. I still can't believe that. These guys are fat. And happy. They've turned this bedding into beautiful castings, by the way, in just 2 weeks. And I don't know if you guys can see that. You know what, maybe I should put on some gloves just so that you can see. Or, I don't know. Look at the size of that cocoon. We'll take a look at the cocoon count in here in just a second. I just want to make sure that there's no other stragglers in here, which there are. I have to admit something. I find, even though these bins are literally, you set these bins up, these breeder bins, and then you don't look at them, touch them, do anything to them for 2 weeks, I find that the hardest of all, because I'm just so used to coming into here and getting my hands in the bedding. But obviously you don't want to disturb them too much while they're mating and all that jazz. And I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed this method of using the basket, but yeah, there's an abnormal amount of worms that didn't come up into that basket this time. Usually there's, you know, a few, 6, 7, and today was a little bit more, and I'm still finding more of them as I'm going down. But yeah, so you know, I found it difficult not to come in here and just get my hands in the dirt with them. But I want to try and maximize the amount of cocoons that they are producing without any stress. But they have gone through that chow, obviously, like crazy. But there's a decent amount of cocoons in here as well. I always say that I always can notice the cocoons a lot better with a bit of moisture in there. So that's quite... I might sift these to see if I can stop the cocoons from going in via that the screen mesh that I made. I still haven't made it any smaller. I know I was supposed to. Okay, so while I'm doing that, I'll reset this to the side in a minute. Let's bring our dump bag and see if we can just sift these and how quickly that works. Okay, so this is the dump bag. I actually did a little short video, and I was just so impressed. I came in here the other day and these beetroot have just sprouted, which is amazing. Look at this one, roots like crazy, and just healthy foliage. I love this bag. But yeah, the whole point is obviously that this would end up going into the CFT. So we're just going to do this quickly. So there's no moisture in this whatsoever. I'm just going to give it a tap and a little brush up and see if the cocoons stay up or they go down. What would you think? The cocoons are here. So it's definitely stopping the cocoons from going down. That's amazing. Oh my god, as I was trying to separate and get these cocoons out, there is a worm literally coming out of the cocoon. Two. There's one here as well. Oh my god. I just literally delivered a baby. And there's another one hatching. I love that. Okay, this doesn't do it justice. I literally just picked out, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 cocoons from here, from what was maybe, I don't know, just over a handful of castings, and I dumped the rest in here because there were the cocoons were just hatching as I was picking them out. You just saw on camera, one's even hatched in here. Can you see that? This is mental. I love it. Obviously, as that moisture's like hit them, they're just hatching. So I'm not gonna, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna literally, with that tissue, I'm just gonna put them with the tissue into this bin. They'll consume that, no problems. I'm not even gonna bother sifting this. They must be I don't know, the boys were busy, boys and girls, my apologies, but even just looking at this, there's just cocoons everywhere. Look, just 2 there, 3 there, 4. If I do this, just more everywhere. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like, there must be, I don't know, 2, 3, maybe 400 cocoons in this bin alone. That is absolutely... Whoa, hello. There's these worms. That's why I was going to sift, because I wanted to get these worms out. Now I remember why. Okay, so this video might be a little bit longer than I originally intended it to be, but that's no problem. And definitely a lot of worms that didn't go up into the bait tray. That is also really interesting. I can't describe my genuine joy at the number of cocoons that I just witnessed in this bin. I mean, everywhere, even in here. I've, you know, just bang. At the bottom, just tons of cocoons. I don't think, I mean, I had a lot of cocoons in the first bin that I'd done, and don't forget I'd left that for 3 weeks because I wasn't privy to the 2-week incubation period for African night crawlers at the time. I left them for 3 weeks like you would with the red wigglers or the European night crawlers. So there was a lot of cocoons in that. But today, in this bin here, I don't think I've ever seen this many cocoons, ever. That is really, really, really promising. And as a worm breeder, really exciting, and you know, makes you feel really good because you guys are doing well. So I'm just turning this now, and the worms that have been hatching and growing in this grow bag, in this dump bag, there's loads of worms through here. Look at these guys, beautiful castings. Just great, really healthy. I'm looking at this bag. I mean, look at that. That's an adult worm now. I'm sure there's there's breeding going on in this bag. But there's quite a lot of volume in here too. But looking at this matter in here, the moisture level's good. It's not dry. It's not overly wet. But honestly, these are some great castings. I'm not sure that I'll be able to put these into my CFT because these have already been processed by these worms. This material is pretty much ready for harvesting because the worms make a good go of it in the 2 weeks that they're in, because it's only a gallon of bedding, you see. And then, sorry, I just got some mites that crawl over my hands, which drives me nuts. Yeah, so they already have a really good go of the bedding in the 2-week incubation period. And then I put them in here, and obviously they've been eating, and there's been feeding going on in here as well. They've been having lots of chow. They did get a banana and a few other bits and pieces a few weeks ago, but they have been doing amazing. And yeah, I will harvest these castings because, and not use these in the CFT because it would be pointless. Why am I going to put it in the CFT and use up space while I can dump the new bins into the CFT and build it that way, and put this with my other castings and have it ready for my garden? So yeah, really, really, really good. So I'm probably gonna, obviously I still have to use this bag while I'm building the CFT, which I'll probably do next week once I get some timber to do the legs and the struts and God knows what else. But yeah, so I can, I've still got until I can fill this bag. That's not an issue, but I definitely want to build the CFT before this bag gets completely full. But yeah, These are some really, really amazing castings. This is what you call black gold. I will give it a decent moisture, a decent water. I mean, look at these worms. Yeah, definitely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep on feeding this bin. I'm going to keep on giving it good moisture, and then what I'll do is when the CFT is being built, I won't use this. What I'll do is I'll start to bait these guys out, bait the adult worms out, remove them and put them into the CFT, and these castings will remain for the garden. So let's chat. I'm going to move this out of the way. I'm not going to bring you guys along for me resetting the next bin, resetting this breeder bin, but let's take a quick look at the worm farm starter kit that had the issue with overfeeding a few weeks ago. Okay, so this is our worm farm starter kit that we almost killed off a few weeks ago. There were some baby worms in there, as you guys know. I did add a lot of cardboard in there to try and soak up that moisture. I gave it a little mix. I've left the top off to stop any more condensation and just try to regulate that moisture. I have had a little bump for it a couple of times. I gave it some chow and just gave it a little turn, and things were starting to I wouldn't say look better. I actually didn't know if it was getting worse, and I was considering adding a few worms to it, and then I thought to myself, no, I want to see how it bounces back. I want to see, you know, can we almost kill off a bin and let it come back, especially because there were a bunch of comments that said discard the bin, start again, you know, throw it all away, start again. And I was determined not to, because I was just so certain that there was life in here and you can come back from tragedy without an issue. So let's see. I'm going to stick my hand in there now, and first things first, the top layer is a little bit crumbly, but it's not dry per se. There is moisture, but it's just clumpy, if that makes sense. This is a bit of a banana peel, I think. Yep, 100%. There are still these peanut shells in here, which I'm sure will remain here for a couple of years until they break down properly. And there are some baby worms on the bottom here. Don't know if you can see those little guys there. Just rummaging around. I have to say there are a lot of mites in this bin. It's a banana stem. There's a lot of mites in here, and not too many. Not that there's not too many worms. There are worms in here, but they're just a little bit lethargic. So I think I'm definitely going to give them some moisture today and some worm chow. Let's see what's going on over here. Okay, so this side looks a little bit more promising. There are worms in here, not many. Not many, unfortunately. I don't know. There's little babies. So there's still like literally little hatchlings in here. I don't know what to do, honestly. I know I say, you know, I need help with what I should do with this bin, but you see there's life in here, but I just don't want to throw it away. But what do I do? Do I add some more worms in here and just let, you know, because I've got tons of worms. Having the worms isn't the issue, but do I be stubborn and just wait for it to revive itself, or do I just throw in, you know, even if it's 100 juvenile worms from the main bin to try and just get this bin processed and get it back on its way again. I don't know. Okay, first things first, let's give it some food. Now, stupidly, I was messing around and I forgot to cover this chow, and some worm castings got into it, which is not a drama, really. I just hope there's no cocoons in those castings. So not too much chow. Right, let's give this guy some water. I'm giving it some more moisture because I feel that it can definitely hold a bit more. It's feeling gummy. It's not sticky. It's not gooey, but just gummy. But I think the moisture's a lot better. I was just hoping that they'd grown a bit more, but they haven't. But there's food in here now. I mean, there was food in here anyway, but in the form of worm chow. I'm not going to mess around too much with this. They seem to be happy. They seem to be good. There's still a whole bunch of that cardboard that I added in here, so that's not an issue. There's carbon in there. There's chow. So yeah, we just got to keep monitoring. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you feel. Do I, A, just leave it? Do I leave them be and just see how long it takes for the population to bounce back? That's option A. Option B is throw 100 juveniles in here and let them have at it and eat the contents of this bin and regulate it, and we can just move on. I'm also maybe thinking that this is a little bit gummy. I mean, there's unprocessed food in here, 100%, because since those worms died, there was an overfeed, obviously, but they didn't have a chance to eat all of that food. So does that food need to be consumed? Is it clumping because it's mixed with all the worm castings that were in here? Because don't forget, this original bin has been active now for, I don't know, 2.5 months, 3 months almost. So I think it's about time that it was to be harvested, but there's no worms in here to finish off what was in here, so I can't harvest it. So I'm in that dilemma. So option A, leave it, let them bounce back on their own, however long it may take. Option B, throw 100 worms in there, have at it, and then see how long it takes to harvest, and see how we get on from there. You choose. Whichever option, A or B, gets the most votes. Next week's video will be us touching on that. I'll do a 1 minute short actually on what that choice was. So yeah, I don't know when this is going to air. So today is Friday. Today's Friday. So if this airs on Monday, I will give all of next week for the votes, and just let me know A or B, and then we'll announce what's going on. In the meantime, you know what to do. It's that time again for me to ask you to leave a comment, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and ring that notification bell. You know what to do. Show your boy some love as always, and big love from me. Be good, stay well, and I'll see you soon.